recording. Hey, Michael, how are you?
Doing good.
Okay, I'm pulling up this week's exercises because we had a question about one of them. Exercise. Okay.
I don't even know if I have questions on the other two because that third one just got me.
Yeah. Let me see. What number was it?
So it's number 3. It's the one that says for like the same city.
Okay. So for the people who watch this, I will show you how to do this. Okay, so okay, so let me look at this question here. Boom. Construct a query that returns all addresses that are in the same city. You will need to join the address table to itself, and each row should include 2 different addresses. Okay. So what we want to do here is select A1 dot.
Okay, wait, pause. Why did you do A1?
You're let me write it out, then I'll explain it.
Okay.
Come on. Okay, so the reason why I did A1 and A2 is because
they're the same freaking thing.
Yep. So from
I kept trying to say A dot this and then would equal A dot this, like the exact same thing, and I was like, this doesn't work. This just doesn't work.
Yeah, this is what you're looking to do. Inner join address A2 on A1 dot city ID equals A2 dot city ID. So there are a number of, this is the reason they actually do this is because they needed a way to explain to you why you would do this. So if I run this, okay, it's the same address on both. It said it shows 2 addresses.
You have to join it to the city thing too.
Oh, to the city table?
I'm pretty sure because it only has a city ID. Well, I guess not. I was just thinking you would have to because it only has a city ID on that one.
So each row, so here the first one doesn't, but so I see what they're doing. Okay, so I'd accept this because joining a table to itself is tricky and should only be done under very specific reasons. But this is, you can start from this and see if you can get it to where it's having each row has 2 different addresses and not the same address. Like this one has where, I don't know if I do this. Yeah, you can figure out how to get to 2 different addresses. So when you join 2 different when you join 2 tables, it's as simple as this. Oops. It's as simple as that. You just do from table 1 alias inner join table 2 of the same table as a different alias.
It was wonderful.
You would do this in cases like the best example I've ever seen of this is if you've got an employees table. And in the employees table, it marks the supervisor ID. And the supervisor ID is actually the employee number that's in the table. So you have to join it to itself to find the supervisor for the thing. It's actually a pretty bad practice to do that.
That's how that was my whole model
because so let me see if I can give you this example. So y'all understand the concept of a foreign key at this point in time, right? So it can't exist in the table without, okay. So let me see if I can do this here. This is an example as to why you don't want to do this.
So you're saying I should go and spend another hour figuring out how to make it come out just right?
Just a where clause.
Just a okay, good. I was like, please don't make me do that.
Just where clause. Where'd my Excel? Okay, so let me see if I remember how to do this. It's been a while since I've had to explain this one, so bear with me. So let's say we had we were a dog farm or a puppy farm, right? So we've got the dog table. So it's a dog ID and then name. And I'm just going to cut to the chase. I'm going to have dad ID and mom ID, right? And the dad ID and the mom ID will be the dog ID of the parents of that particular dog, right? So what happens, so the reason this is a bad thing is if we foreign key dog ID to dad ID, right? So it has to be here for it to be here. There will be issues. You can't have that foreign key existing while you're trying to put data in, because the foreign key will always fail. I mean, I say so it has to be here for it to be here, right? So let's say we've got a new puppy that just came in, and I try to put his dog ID in, but the foreign key won't allow it because the dog doesn't exist. It's complicated. So I'm doing a very bad job explaining, but this would be an example of why we would do it. So we've got a dog farm, we've got the dog ID, and the parents are dogs that we've had. So they just recur to themselves. So what we would do in this case is like any query would be like, you know, if I wanted to do a query on the table with the dogs, and I would do select dog name, but it'd be from dog as D, inner join daddy dog on as DD on D dot dog ID equals is be the dog. Sorry, the dog table there. Inner join dog. Dog ID equals DD dot dad ID. Okay. So that's why we would join a table to itself, because something in the table refers back to itself. I've never liked it as a practice to do that, so I avoid it when I can. But that's why it exists. So all you do is you give it a different alias so you can refer it back to itself.
Okay, I have another question, but
Sure.
you can keep going on stuff if you want first.
No, I prefer answering questions.
Okay. Michael, you good if I ask a question? Okay. So I've learned to take the quiz and do the exercises before this meeting so I can ask my questions that I've messed up on. So
All right.
basically, I was really confused with like I took a quiz, the quiz today,
Mhm.
and there was like 3 different questions about Harry Potter, and if you were referencing the prequels of Harry Potter's with prequels or Harry Potter's not with prequels or whatever.
Right.
And I just kind of feel like maybe it's because it's new syntax and stuff, but like, and how you can just be like A stands for address and or whatever. But I felt kind of confused about how to discern exactly what it was. Like I did okay on the quiz, but I felt a little confused.
Okay, let me show you this, one of the queries that I wrote in earlier today. Okay, so here I've got this. I'm selecting the last name from the table A, the name from table C, and the count from a table F where the name where I'm getting the column title is film count. So let's look at my joins. Okay, I'm going from actor as A to film actor, which is FA, to film, which is F, to film category, which is FC, to category, which is C. So what part are you confused on? Why these letters are here, or how
that makes sense to me totally.
Okay.
It just was like, so I have it like on me. So it introduced a couple things I wasn't used to, right? It's like it says like F title as film, which I know that just means that you want it to display under like film, and then it's like case, which I haven't heard of case yet, right? We haven't done case yet.
Oh, right.
And then it's like when not, and it starts referencing things like f.film or fp.film, where I don't see like above where it says like FP stands for this or F stands for this. Do you know what I mean?
So just look in here. When you look at the inner joins and the table names, that will always be after it.
Oh, okay.
This is where you alias out a table. So you do this so you don't have to type. So and I'm glad I'm repeating this, because this is the reason why I recorded that thing in the before is people are going to watch that, then watch this again, it can get repeated. So the reason why you alias is because you've got these columns here, right? So you're telling, if I didn't have these indicators here, the engine wouldn't know. Let me be more specific. If I didn't have the indicators here, the alias in where the columns are, right, and more than one table had the same column name in it, you get an error. So let me do this here. So let me get rid of
No,
this.
I think the aliases make perfect sense. I think
Right.
they make sense, but I don't see them in the code on the thing. Like when
Oh,
I
on
read
the-
through
on-
it, I can't
oh, on the thing?
identify where they are.
Oh, on the quiz?
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to share my
Okay.
screen? Because I copied and pasted
Yeah,
into
go
my
ahead, go ahead,
SQL.
go. Yeah, share your screen. That'll be easier for me to go
Okay.
digging for it.
Okay. Hold on. I just have to remember how to do that.
I think I've got to allow you to do it.
Okay.
Let's see. Yes, you may share your screen. I'm going to stop my share. Hi, Jeff.
Okay. Hey, look, we got another person. Okay. Sorry, I'm not
Hey, how's
super
it
familiar
going?
with this one.
If you have any
Alright.
questions, just jump in, Jeff.
Will do. Thank you.
All right, what's the easy? Where is the share screen button?
Should be right on the bottom, big green button.
Sure.
Just-
I was ignoring it because it was big and green. Okay. Here it is. Okay, can you see it?
Where did everything go? Ah, there it is. Okay, yes. Okay.
Okay. So I literally copied the question into here because I was trying to find a way to figure it out, right? So
The from clause is missing.
from right here.
Oh, there. Okay, yeah. So then, oh, I see where it is. So right join film F, right join film FP, prequel. So there's where you are.
So film F,
Uh-huh.
what does that mean?
So it's the same thing that I did on mine. So you're saying here, call
Oh, call
Here's-
film F and
Yeah.
call.
film FP. Yeah.
Oh, so it's just like film. So instead of like A1 and A2, they
Yeah.
did F and FP.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. You can have it say whatever you want. You could do film, Reginald and film,
That's okay. I
Stanley.
was just confused because I was like, what's FP? I don't even
Yeah.
know. Like, what's going on? Okay.
Whenever you see something in the select clause that or anywhere that has an A, like a thing like this, look in your from clause. And that's where they're all gonna live.
Okay.
Okay. So that's where that is. And it can be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be A or FA or FB. It could be whatever you want it to be. You don't even have to use them because if you don't, this is what it has to look like. This is what you have to do. And the
Way
alias,
longer.
yeah, it's just a lot more typing. So they did that so you wouldn't have to type. Now, case statements we don't cover until week 9 or 10. But what a case statement is, it's so everything we do in writing select queries is about getting the data out to the consumer of the data without them having to think too hard, right? We want to make it really pretty for them, make it nice and easy for them to understand. So what a case statement allows us to do is, let's say, the wording always throws me, so I'm not gonna write it now, but let's say you wanted to write a query and you wanted to see if someone was able to rent a rated R movie, right? But you didn't want their age showing up on the results. So when they go to the website and pull it up, you don't want their age showing up for whatever privacy reasons or whatever. So what you can do is you can put a case statement that says, okay, case, when age is less than or equal to 16, then can't rent. And what would happen is, instead of having the age show up, whatever you tell it to show instead will show up. So it's an alternative means of preparing data to be shown to people. So that's what, and I'll write, and we can, when we get to the case statement stuff, we'll write some queries like that, but that's what it does. And you can have as many case statements as you want in there. So you can do like, I don't know, like if you want to do like, let's instead of anything, you want to do, instead of PG or PG whatever, you want to change it to British ratings, right? Because there's an equivalency. So you can say like, where case rating, when rating equals PG, then whatever they call it over there, and you can just show it something else. Okay, it just masks the true data with whatever you want them to see. Okay, does that make
That's
sense?
good to know.
Yeah.
When you were talking about another video, Is it the video you posted for the week, like in your announcement, or did you record a different other video?
For this week?
Mhm.
I recorded a different video. I haven't posted it
okay.
yet. I recorded
Okay.
it. My intent was to record it and then pause it and then resume it, but then I just decided to end it and then post 2 separate videos. So, but yeah, so that in there I go over all these queries on how they work and how joins work. Joins are a lot of fun. Because in a join you get to get like whatever kind of data you want out of here. Like, you know, how many people named Bob rented an R-rated movie in 1935, and that's all that information is here. So when you guys, so this we were talking about last week about the case studies for your final projects, is you look at the data and so what kind of, let's say this was my case study, I'm going to say this was my final project database. So what kind of queries would I need to write to get information that would be viable for my business? What kind of things would I want to know? You know, and I think last week and on the video earlier, I said, you know, what was the top rental category in February? Right. And I can write a query that shows me that. I can say, what was the least rented? What movie has not been rented in the last 30 days? You know, what customer has not rented this year? So these are all this is all information we get from these tables. We just have to write the queries to get that and use that information however we're going to do it. So when you guys are writing your case studies for your final project, if you choose to do it, so you're looking at your when you're looking at your like Michael, you're gonna do the bus. You're talking like probably doing the bus thing. So like, you know, what drivers have been in bus like 16? You know, which vehicles are up for maintenance this month? You know, which buses have had accidents and which bus drivers had been in accidents, and you know, which child was not, and if you're gonna do something as robust as like to take attendance for the kids on that thing, which you could to make it a little beefier, like which kids weren't on the bus today, you know. So these are all queries you got to figure out how to write, because this is all information you're going to need to give out to your end users when they're looking at the stuff. So I think in my video before I said, if you come up with a weird query based off of this, I'll give you 10 extra credit points on whatever you need it for. So come up with like a weird query, like, you know,
100% doing that.
yeah, which people from Wisconsin have rented Harry Potter, you know, or what state has rented the most G-rated movies. Yeah, it's you can sit down and go through these forever, and come up with different ways to do it. You know, like what's the best rented movie that we have? What staff member rents the most movies? You know, I don't know, but there's that. So any more questions?
Those were my questions. Somebody else can go now.
Jennifer, Michael, you got any questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I just,
Michael's going through this like it's a breeze. He doesn't even like, what questions? Why am I even here? I don't know.
Well, what I want to do right now is I want to talk a little bit more about bridge tables and how to use them and how to normalize your database. Because a lot of people last week, in the last couple of days, were when they did the reverse engineering of the database. A lot of people use like clothing databases, which are very complicated to do. So I want to quickly go over like how I would do those databases. So it'll make sense, because some of the comments I may have made to people who had it may not have made sense. So if we're just looking at like a database that holds clothing items, right? So we'll have an item table, which each item is, and then we'll have what I call a SKU, and a SKU is, for those of you who don't watch Shark Tank, a SKU is like in terms of clothing, like to be a hoodie or a t-shirt or a long sleeve t-shirt or anything along those lines, right? So each of them have their own number. And then you'd have manufacturer. I'll just call it maker because I don't want to spell manufacturer. And then you've got things like distributor, and then you'll have color, and then you have size. Okay. And then with all of these, you'll have your like size ID, you have your color ID, and your distributor ID, and then your maker ID. Obviously, you'll have more columns to it. I'm just going on to this right now. SKU ID, and then item ID. Now, the items table will probably not actually have any words in it. It'll just all be IDs. Okay, item number one, it'll have a SKU ID to tell you what it is. It'll have a maker ID. Okay, it'll have a distributor ID. It will not have a color ID, and it will not have a size ID, because one item might have multiple colors, and one color would have multiple items. So I can't put it there. Okay. So yeah, so that would be, I mean, it might have a name. I don't know. It might have a specific name, but I don't think so. Because it should be like long sleeve t-shirt from the Gap in red, you know. So this is a one-to-one relationship because one item only have one SKU ID. Wait, was that true? Or is it a lie? Nope, that's a lie. SKU ID would not go there. Okay. No, it would go there because one distributor, so everything would have to be universal. So one distributor, so this would make it unique. The SKU ID and the distributor ID would make it unique. So that's fine. So that's okay. So you'd have one SKU to many items, but you'd have many items to one SKU. So that's fine. That works that way. Maker ID is fine. Distribution ID is fine. Color ID needs to be, so here, then we'd have an inventory table. And then we'd have an inventory ID. And then we'd have an item ID. We'd have a size ID. We'd have a color ID. And then we'd have a quantity. And we'd have a price. Okay. Is this making sense on how this would work? I get shrugs.
I didn't do closing. I didn't do closing,
No,
but I think.
I
it
mean,
makes sense.
just in general, does it make sense why? Because I mean, because you'd think item ID you just have like long sleeve t-shirt here and everything be here, but because remember we've got two main rules. We don't want the same data showing up where it doesn't need to be, right? So we don't need, we can just do the ID here. But also in this case, the most important thing I remember is we don't trust our people to put the information in right. So we want to give them a limited field of what they can do. We want a drop-down menu for them to select from rather than type in things, you know, because we don't want like, we don't want this, you know, this is a color, and then this is a color, and then this is a color, you know, which could happen. So all of these tables represent on that one web page we're looking at drop downs, and people would even search for this. You know, if they're searching for an item of clothing, they'll go, I want a long sleeve shirt in blue. And then this is where that would all come from. And then we'd go to this table and pull that information out. Okay. So I'm not doing this specifically for you know, apparel industry. I'm just kind of showing how this all kind of widens out. Because when you're trying to do these tables in this final project, when you're designing a database, you get really wide sometimes. Because even from here, we can even go further. You know, we haven't even talked about like the sales table, or like the customer table, or the employee table. So you know, just trying to get the inventory, we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tables. And if I thought about it, it'd probably, you know, go further than that. Because here in the maker table, I probably have, you know, maker location. And I probably have a location table over here. And I'd probably
It's
just,
like China, etc.
yeah, like China, you know, wherever it's going to be, you know, because I would have, you know, again, I want to be able to do a drop down so people can just do it without thinking, right? I want to know everything that's made in China. So I need a location for that. So rather than have it in the maker table, I want it, or like, because here, I need location here too. I need to know where the distributor's coming from for shipping purposes, for tax purposes, for tariff purposes, right? So look, now we got another table over here, a location table, right? So that's kind of what you got to look at. You know, you got to look at it and say, what, you know, am I making sure I don't have duplicate data anywhere that doesn't need to be there, and B, if someone is looking for this, how am I going to make sure it's easy for them to find things? Because I don't want them misspelling things trying to find something, right? So that was that. This week, so this week's all about joins. You've already taken the quiz and the thing. So I did change last week's, and I'll change this week so you can see the answers after your second attempt. So if I haven't done that yet, I will do that immediately following this session. But seems Michael dropped out. Okay, so next week I'm gonna hopefully have an ERD diagram site to start showing you guys how to build ERDs from, rather than just use this thing. But this is where I do most of my work until I get to the ERD thing.
Are you talking about like on like the workbench?
No,
builder?
there's a website I use. Yeah, that's a website I use. You can do it on the workbench. I just don't like doing it in the workbench. So I do it on this website that I just need to find again because I forgot. I had to reformat my computer. I lost all my links, so I got to go look for it again. But it happens. All right. So that's pretty much all I got, unless you got any more questions. It's funny, if I hadn't recorded that stuff earlier, I'd be talking about that now, but I did. So
You're just super prepared.
yeah, I know
Great.
it happens every once in a while. I didn't have youth activities tonight, so I had a little time to pack up. So one thing I'll just reiterate here again, that's on the first page, but I want this, is what a cross join does. A cross join is a bad join. We don't like using it. It confuses things. It's what's called a Cartesian join. So in a Cartesian join, basically what it does, it takes the first value in the first column here and pairs it to everything in the second column. So if we look at the results for this, right? Here's Abney, and apparently he lives everywhere. Every address that shows up, he's a part of. And then eventually we're going to go to the next guy, which I think is Adams. The Adam. So there's that. And now he'll go through all the ones that are there until it gets the next name. But that's what Cartesian joins do. They are not logical. They just literally throw everything at you. If I take the inner join, doesn't do that. The inner join makes it nice and gives you the information back. So if I do this, and get rid of last name here, just get rid of first name rather. So here, and I return these values, then we're going to see Abney lives there and Adam lives there and so on and so forth. Because now it's just pairing it based on the ID. Okay. The other thing you can do, and I didn't bring this up before, is you can do that and just put a comma there. And I think you should be able to do this. This is also, this basically is a cross join because you put the comma there. It does the same thing. So you'll see a cross join written this way, or you'll see a cross join written that way. Don't write them on your own. cross joins are not helpful. Now, next week, I think next week and the week after, right now we're just talking inner joins, which is returning information between two tables where they've got a column in common and the information, and you're taking the stuff that matches that column for both tables. Next week, you start talking about outer joins, which is returning more information based on the table structure. Okay. But this is really the most important thing for right now, because left and right joins and full joins are used in very specific situations. 99% of the time, you're going to do inner joins. All right, like here's one where I got the last name of the customer, the last name of the staff member, the title of the movie, and the day they rented it. So, and it's ordered by the name. It's ordered by the film title. I don't know why I just did it that way, but that's fine. But so that's it. That's all I got today. 10:02. We're gonna end a little bit early today. Jeff, you doing okay with all this stuff?
Yep, just trying to learn.
Okay. Like I said, most important thing is like read the book as if it were a reference book, not a novel, and make sure that you read all of the any link here under reading assignment. Make sure you go over that because it's very important. The stuff that's in these links is probably more important than what's in the books.
Is there
Okay.
any
will
chance,
do.
Act? Could you just like kind of walk me through, like hold my hand through that where thing just to make sure I get it
For
that
the
one question? Just
oh.
one.
Let me see here.
I don't know if you want to do it recorded or not, but
Sure, why not?
Okay.
From what I'm very few people watch this, so it's totally fine.
last
Nice.
week I was like, dude, I just got a one-on-one with my teacher. I'm never missing that thing.
And
Okay.
as it goes down, that's pretty much how it ends up going. I got rid of it. Did I get rid of it? It's down here somewhere.
Okay.
I got rid of it. Let's rewrite it.
I'm gonna have
I've
to
got it.
jump out, but thank you.
You're welcome, Jeff. Hopefully see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Select.
Select
Boy.
a, yeah. Okay.
So on select.
Select A1.address, comma A2.address from address A1, inner join. Am I helpful or not helpful?
Absolutely.
Okay. From address 1, inner join address 2 on A1.city_ID equals A2.city. Sorry, A2.city_ID. So the
Oh, that's
where.
fine. Just real quick here. I'm gonna see them. Select.
You forgot the inner join though.
No, I'm
Oh.
not doing that right now. I just want to look
okay.
at. I want to look at the data real quick.
Okay.
Address 2 is null. Okay. For address 1, inner join. Join. Address A2 on
A1.city_ID equals A2.city_ID. Yeah, so originally I was thinking I needed to bring in the name of the city, but I guess I don't have to do that.
no.
Wait. So you just say where that address does not equal. Ooh, nice. Okay.
Oh, that's all getting confused. Oh, let's see. Yeah, it's gonna get a little janked up here, but that's fine.
Well, I kind of wanted to work. Come on.
Oh, it works fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like, okay. So it's just saying that's not, but this one's repeating thousands of times down
Oh,
here.
mine worked just fine. I don't know why yours is doing that.
Oh. because no one's looking at yours, and everyone's looking at mine.
Mm-hmm. It's totally why. Okay. See, look, I'll show you. Mine is beautiful. Oh, you have
I
to
believe
stop sharing first. Okay,
Honestly,
awesome.
I'm just playing with this now.
That's what I used. I used that symbol.
That's all right. That's totally fine. I mess with this database a lot, so who knows what's wrong with it. But yeah, if it's working for you, then that's what it is. It's just a where clause in there because you got to do an inequality between the two.
Okay.
That's
I
all
was
it
like,
is.
I saw that it was like simple, but I was just like, I feel like I overthought it earlier and I just wasn't sure I was gonna figure it out. So thank you.
Yeah, when I taught in person, I would always tell people when you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras. So just whatever seems the easiest way to do it, go the easiest way. And if that doesn't work, then get complicated.
Today on the
know.
quiz, I feel like there was a couple times where I was like, okay, this is obviously this one, right? Like this seems obvious. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
go with it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and a lot of times it is. But like in coding in general, like I said, just go with the simplest way to do it, and then complicate it after that. Because if you start complicated, then you got to figure out what's wrong with it. It gets be a real headache trying to figure out like what parentheses is missing, what code is missing. So
Awesome. Thank you so much.
no problem. All right, if you have another question, I think we'll call it a night, and I'm going to post this and see who watches it.
Okay. Have a great
Okay.
evening.
You too. Bye bye.